to another episode of Kid Literati. I'm author Caitlin Aronson, and if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do. If you go to my giveaway and kickoff video, like and comment and subscribe to the channel, you'll be entered into my July 2023 drawing to win any 2 of my books. If you're looking for a professional critique of your picture book manuscript, you can go on ahead to my website. It's CaitlинAronson.com and just click on services. Alright, let's get to it. In my first 2 videos, I focused on the verbal mode of communication in picture books. There's plenty more to say on that, but I thought that today I would look at the visual for a change, a technique used in picture book illustration and page layout, even though I'm not an illustrator. Okay, but in my defense, I have studied art and drawing on and off throughout my life, as a child, again in college, and as an adult. So my comments today are those of an amateur, a lover of illustration. I invite you now to ponder the power of the close-up. Well, not like that. What I mean is, picture book creation is very similar to screenwriting in that a picture book is built by a sequence of scenes. And even in the early stages, we often use storyboarding and thumbnail sketches. Illustrators do, and even I, as an author, sketch out an entire storyboard of my story in its early stages. To continue this comparison with screenwriting and film, think about how filmmakers vary their camera angles and vantage points when shooting a movie. They're using medium shots and long shots, they're panning in and out, and from time to time, they zoom in. Why do they do that? If they have a close-up of a thing, an object, it's probably to show a detail. And if they zoom in on a human face, it's to establish some kind of intimate rapport between that particular character and the viewer. The close-up can be used powerfully in picture books. In fact, if a story is character-driven, that is, led by a main character or characters, not having at least one close-up might even constitute a missed opportunity to visually invite the reader into a connection with that main character. Well, here are 3 picture books that I think do a wonderful job of showcasing the close-up. The Wolf's Secret. This enchanting fairy tale is by 2 French authors, Myriam Dahman, Nicolas Digard, and Spanish illustrator Júlia Sardà, but it was actually first published in the US, so let's read the English version of the first 2 spreads shown here in French. Far, far away in the north, there was a forest, deep and forgotten. Old pines wrapped around each other, protecting its mystery. Over the treetops loomed a mountain, and from the midst of the branches came a never-ending whisper. In this forest lived a wolf. His fur was dark like tree bark after the rain. His eyes were golden like the rising moon. He was the biggest wolf ever born, and all the animals of the forest feared him. So it is that the reader of this tale comes face to face with the protagonist, the wolf. Here we can see the richness of his fur and his eyes like 2 glowing moons against the night. We're introduced to these features before we see the rest of him, and we're so close we can almost feel his breath. It is as if the artist is saying, "Come closer, this character has a secret." And of course, from the title, we know that he does. Last Flight by Kristen Giang and Phumiruk, which tells about the author's lived experience of the fall of Saigon at the onset of the Vietnam War and how her family miraculously escaped. As the story begins, we see Saigon, Vietnam from a distance and gradually zoom in on its people and finally the author's family. At 2 key points in the narrative, a sudden close-up makes the emotion much more personal. Let's read a few selected spreads. Saigon. It sounded like a song. Saigon, Vietnam. The war brought new sounds, heavy boots, warning whistles, booms that sounded far but felt near. Saigon is falling, everyone said. The song was ending. Ba worked for an American airline called Pan Am. "When it's time, we will go to America," Ba told us. Pan Am promised to fly us out, but not yet. Every day, the booms grew louder. Just look at the mother's face and those of her children here. We linger over their worry, their fear, their hope, the love that binds them. If these characters were shown from a medium or long shot, it might be easier to stay detached from the drama they're living through. But here we pause and move from the turmoil of their outside world to their inner turmoil, and their plight becomes personal and compelling. Finally, The Sea Chest by Toni Buzzeo and Mary GrandPré is an old favorite of mine from when I used to be a bookseller. This treasure has stayed in my collection for 20 years. It's the tale of a sea chest found by a lighthouse keeper and his family. Toni based this on a legend regarding a severe storm that happened off the coast of Maine in the 1870s. But to show you the close-up that I find so masterful is to spoil it a bit. So if you want to get this book and discover it on your own, stop this video now. Otherwise, let's read some selected spreads from the beginning of the book. One icy night, howling winds blew towering waves against the shore. My papa worried for all the ships upon the sea, ships in danger of faltering on the rocks and sinking into the stormy deep. And when he spotted such a vessel out beyond his reach, papa could do no more for the schooner's ship or crew than burn the light behind the Fresnel lens. At dawn, the wind blew itself out and the storm rolled back across a glassy sea. Papa set off to scout the shore, and I went along as company, hoping for bits of sea glass to fill my windowsill jar. I clung to Papa's hand in the streaky light while we slid down to the farthest rocks. As we drew near the shore, we saw a sodden bundle of eiderdown mattresses tied with sailors' knots. It lay heaped upon the rocks, washed up from the schooner the storm must have swallowed in the night. Our eyes locked wide when we heard the tiniest cry from deep inside the padding. I guessed at a kitten and held the wish close to my heart. When at last the rope came free, the mattresses unfolded to reveal a leather sea chest. Papa lifted the latch and lid, and I curled my fingers tight. The frozen hinges squeaked their resistance, then slowly opened wide. And here the close-up and text speak for themselves. I'll never forget turning this page for the first time to see a foundling peering up at me. Pure magic. And that's only the beginning of the story. Et voilà! 3 picture books that wield the power of the close-up. How about you? Do you have any suggestions, examples to share? I'd love to know down in the comments. Last but not least, Myriam, Nicolas, Júlia, Kristen, and Dao, Toni, and Mary. You're brilliant, and we thank you. And I thank all of you for joining me on this episode of Kid Literati. I'll be back real soon. À bientôt!